The jobs that are going to be lost are represented by Unifor. Clara Pasica joins us from their national office in North York with the latest on this. Clara.
Well, Dwight, politicians and unions alike are calling out this move by Stellantis. Now, the automaker had actually already paused retooling of its Brampton assembly plant due to Trump tariffs. That's something that happened earlier in the year. So production of the Jeep Compass heading south of the border, really something that's really adding insult to injury for the union and the workers that they represent. We had the chance to speak with the national president.
We need our governments fighting with us. We need to be using the leverage that we have as a country to make sure that we're keeping our industrial economy intact. And right now, that industrial economy is under serious threat. And the ground zero for it is at Brampton.
Now, other union representatives have emphasized that the response from levels of government here in this country needs to be loud and clear so that companies know that this type of move will not be well tolerated. Ontario Premier Doug Ford said in a statement, in part, no provincial funding has flowed to Stellantis for its Brampton project. Stellantis has a duty to live up to their promise to Brampton auto workers and continue with their allocation in Brampton. No provincial funding will be given until we receive clear assurances on when the plant will restart operations and meet that commitment. Now, a spokesperson for Stellantis said in a statement that Canada was still very important to the company. They pointed to that the company is adding a third shift in Windsor to that plant. But of course, if you're a worker in Brampton, still lots of concerns today.
Thousands of full-time support staff at Ontario colleges say they've reached a tentative agreement with their employer. More than 10,000 workers have been on strike for 5 weeks. The Ontario Public Service Employees Union says picket lines will come down today. The details of the tentative settlement will be presented to members this afternoon. They've been on strike since September 11th and were demanding better wages, benefits, and job security. York Regional Police are investigating an overnight home invasion in Vaughan near Pine Valley and Teston.
Obviously, the residents are shaken up. Being woken up in the middle of the night, being victims of a home invasion. They're obviously very shaken. And I also forgot to mention that the youth that was involved in the collision will be facing charges for this home invasion.
Police say when they arrived on scene, they also found the resident's vehicle had been stolen. None of the victims were hurt. The getaway car, which was also reported stolen, was then involved in a collision and caught fire. The male youth driver was seriously injured and transported to hospital. Police say there were 3 suspects and that despite an extensive search, they were unable to locate the other 2 people or the victim's stolen vehicle. The Ontario government is launching a multi-million-dollar campaign aimed at people in the U.S., warning of the dangers of tariffs. Premier Doug Ford announcing the campaign during a luncheon where he covered a wide range of topics, ending with an unusual story about stopping a suspected shoplifter. Queen's Park reporter Lorena Redekop explains.
Premier Doug Ford spoke in front of business and political leaders, a crowd of around 1,400 people. Before he spoke, a new Ontario government ad aired, set to launch soon south of the border.
When someone says, let's impose tariffs on foreign imports, it looks like they're doing the patriotic thing by protecting American products.
That voice narrates the entire 1-minute ad, warning of the impact of tariffs.
Markets shrink and collapse, businesses and industries shut down, and millions of people lose their jobs.
It ends showing the speaker, the late Republican President Ronald Reagan, from an address in 1987. Ford told the crowd it was his idea.
Let's take Ronald Reagan's words and let's blast it to the American people. And our first launch is going to be on every major network. Maybe one may not get it.
He says CNN was nervous about airing it.
We're going to launch a $75 million ad, and we're going to repeat that message to every Republican district there is, right across the entire country.
That's a big price tag. The province's Auditor General found an entire year's worth of government ad spending hit almost $104 million for the last fiscal year. And that was a record. The finance minister says he thinks it'll be worth it.
We're a $1.2 trillion economy, and I think it's going to be very effective.
How he'll judge if it's a success?
Ideally, no tariffs, and ideally a good deal for Canada, and I think that's the number one objective, not just any deal, but a good deal and certainty for workers and for businesses in Canada.
After his speech, the Premier was interviewed on stage by Ben Mulrooney and ended with an unusual story from this summer, saying he helped stop a suspected thief outside a Home Depot.
I pull up behind him and jump out of the car. I said, buddy, what's in your bag? Nothing's in my bag. I said, buddy, I'm going to kick your ass all over the parking lot. Show me what's in your bag.
The Premier said the person pulled out a saw that the store manager identified as stolen.
And then I went on to tell him if I ever see him in the parking lot, he's going to get a beating like he's never got before. But that's what you have to do.
It was an unexpected, unprompted story from a premier who's increasingly been ending news conferences with personal rants or photo ops using props. The most cited, pouring out an entire bottle of Crown Royal. Lorenda Bradicomp, CBC News, Toronto.
Instagram is rolling out new safety rules for teens, limiting their feeds to PG-13 content. Meta says posts with strong language, risky stunts, or anything promoting harmful behavior will be blocked. The changes begin this week in Canada, the US, the UK, and Australia. But as Anis Haidari explains, there's skepticism the new rules will actually work as intended.
Instagram says it's limiting what younger users see. These teens say that's smart.
I saw a lot of graphic content on Instagram, like people getting killed, like car crashes. And even myself, like I see a lot of stuff that shouldn't be on Instagram.
Like, there's too much going on and it's too graphic for kids to be seeing, and I don't think kids should be seeing it.
Instagram says it already bars teen accounts from sexually suggestive and violent content. Now it's restricting them to only what might be in a movie rated PG-13. That likely means no sex, drugs, or risky stunts.
Research shows it isn't working as well as the company says it is.
But analysts say Instagram hasn't been great at this so far.
The risk of announcements like this is that parents assume that platforms like Meta have this problem in hand, that they're taking care of it, and then they kind of ease back on their efforts to ensure that their kids are safe in the digital environment.
Any type of rule we put in their place, they find ways to go out about it.
Catherine Korakakis has 2 teenagers and agrees this is on parents, too.
If a parent doesn't know that their kid is signed up for any social media platform, they can put any birthday they want, right? They can do whatever they want.
Meta has said it will use AI, plus monitor what users view to determine their age. In an email to CBC News, a Meta spokesperson wrote, "We've taken steps to restrict the setup or use of accounts with inaccurate age information." But it may be impossible to know how effective those steps are, say some researchers.
What I would like to see is sort of independent third-party verification on how effective these tools are, because we also know teens are very adept at getting around any regulation or any system you put on a piece of technology or in real life.
While this change affects users in the US, UK, and Canada, it will be a moot point in Australia by early December, where kids will be banned from having an Instagram account at all if they're under 16. Anis Haidari, CBC News, Calgary.
So you can't blame Toronto Blue Jays fans if they're a little nervous heading into tonight's game in Seattle. The team addressed those fears and says they are well aware of the challenge ahead of them.
I've said it all along, man. I like our chances really any day, anywhere against anyone. I think the off day was good for us today to kind of reset, and I think the guys are going to come out knowing exactly what they have to do.
We understand what the task is and what the challenge is in front of us, and it just is what it is. It's black and white.
Black and white, cut and dry, almost down to a must-win game for our Jays as they head into Game 3 of the ALCS. Down 2-0 with the series shifting to Seattle now. Toronto's Shane Bieber will take the mound against Seattle's George Kirby. First pitch is at 8:08 p.m. Remember, for news anytime, head to our website. That's at cbc.ca/Toronto, or just download the CBC News app. You are watching CBC News Toronto, and we will have more stories from our city when we come back.